recommender systems, how does it fit into a commercial world, and also what are some of the types of recommender systems. There are content filtering, and there's collaborative filtering, and also what are the benefits of recommender system for service providers. So these are some of the benefits, but I'm sure you guys already sort of can tell that having a recommender systems give the commercial world or any commercial company a sort of edge in terms of what you can actually improve, instead of just selling your existing items and having in a passive role of providing things what people want. You're actively advertising, actively promoting certain things to people that is tailor-made to that customer. So let's have a look at each type of the recommender system. The first two that we already know that are the bread and butter of recommender system are both content filtering and collaborative filtering. Now, if you mix the two together, as in combine the effects of the two, you get something called a hybrid recommender system. A hybrid recommender system is something that Netflix has been adopting for many, many years. In fact, Netflix is one of the first few companies that actually have actually greatly used the recommender system in their promotion and suggestion avenue, and use this as a technique to get more viewership to their TV shows and movies. Content sorted based on item attributes is one of the main content filtering portions. For example, content sorted based on movie types, movie categories, such as what kind of actors, which actor, which director, which screenwriter, what kind of which producer, and the location it is. We can actually sort based on many attributes, that it filters based on based on attributes of that type of things that we're trying to promote. So if you're trying to promote movies, you could actually filter. A very basic point is that you can filter based on these categories. And for music, obviously music, there is no such thing as actors in music. So music has their own type of attributes. For example, singer, songwriter, style, and different musicians or vocalists, meter and tempo. I don't know if you guys have heard of a thing called Pandora. Have you guys know? It's a music streaming thing before Spotify came along, right? The way that Pandora actually streams is that you select, they allow you to select one song or one singer that you like, and they definitely just from there they just start playing a radio like kind of song streaming. And what they do is that they look for songs of the same kind of tempo, same kind of genre, that is similar to the one that you have just suggested, and basically create content as you stream. But you don't really get to select what exactly you're listening to, but you get to select what kind of music you're selecting to. So Pandora used to be that kind of a streaming, and it's free, but you can only skip a few songs, right? I don't know if you've tried it before, that you're allowed to use that type, whereas nowadays Spotify is the one that is mainly used. And there is, if you have used Spotify before, in Spotify there is a thing called radio, right? Radio means that if you click on a song that you're listening to on the side, the three dot icon, right? 3-dot icon, and then you click on it, and it says you can actually play radio. Radio means that you're playing songs that is based on the song that you're actually clicking on, and looking for songs that has the same kind of tempo, same kind of beat, and same type of songs that you're interested in. So it's a great way of finding songs that you've never listened to before, and it would it will be the similar kind of song that you like. So hopefully, because you like that type of song, you may also like some of the stuff that they suggest. So in this case, music-wise, there is that kind of a suggestion based on tempo and music style. Books-wise, do you guys still read books? No. Because nowadays there's so many online contents, right? There's everywhere. All these contents are from everywhere. We start not reading books anymore. But still, Big Bad Wolf are still getting a lot of people going, right? Still lots of people go to Big Bad Wolf because it's like once a year you have one of these really cheapest books in the country, and then when was the last time you guys been to a bookstore, by the way? A few years ago, Has any of you been to a bookstore in recent months? No, right? Okay, so let me tell you. Remember how books me at the risk of sounding old, a few years ago, I went to the bookstore and I saw the price of a book. It was about 39 ringgit something, 43 ringgit something, and I was thinking to myself, damn, it's expensive. Nowadays, I went to Kinokuniya. A book is about 76 ringgit. One book. It's crazy. And yeah, that is some. I remember in the past, I think before they started using these seller films that actually covers the whole book, that you can actually browse through the book. I used to have this habit of going to the bookstore and basically just stand there and read books, or take a few books and go to a place you can sit. I actually just count how many books I finish in one day, and that's sort of like how much money I saved. I count by the price of the back. But now you can't do that because they don't really allow you to look at the inside of the book. So the only way you can actually get a feel of book is read online of what that book actually will say, right? Or you get your friends like, this book is good. But nowadays, since most people don't read books anymore, you don't really get these recommendations from friends anymore, right? Which is really crazy. Have you ever seen anything that's like that you can finish in a day or two that costs 76 ringgit? Or 81 ringgit a book? How much paper are you buying? Anyhow, this is just the thing about books. Books are getting so expensive, and people are reading less and less books, right? Because there's different types of books now. They have like ebooks, isn't it? You can buy Kindle and just read on there, and it's so much cheaper. So recommendations based on books is becoming a niche thing happening now. And in the old days, the people are sort of like following a particular writer, right? And they write, sometimes book come in volumes, isn't it? It's like one storyline got 3 books, isn't it? And then the first book written out, somebody goes and reads. Do you guys still remember Harry Potter? Harry Potter, when I think I started reading, starting from the 3rd book, when they started, first 3rd book came out, and then I waited for the 4th book, 5th book, and so on. And every time when the book come out, there was this craze. I was little, yeah, So I actually go to the bookstore and wait for it. And then once the book comes out, and I read it in a day and a half, and it's like done. When is the next one? Another year. Oh, year 2. Oh no. But nowadays, things are moving so fast, right? All these streaming TV shows. You notice on Netflix, sometimes they have 3 episodes come out on the same day. They have like a whole season that comes out on the same day. So content, we are not really lacking in any content, right? So that's why books as a sort of a way to spend time is becoming less and less interesting, because with books we have to read, isn't it? Instead of just listening to do and then while doing something. You can't do that with books. You have to fully concentrate. So if if you guys are interested in books, there are certain websites, such as Amazon, right? Amazon, you can buy books. If you are somebody who actually still buys books from Malaysia, you can go to Book Depository, right? If you buy books, you can buy books from Books Depository. It's international free delivery, and it send it to you. But you just have to be sure that you're not in urgent need of that book, because once you buy it from there, it could take 3 weeks or 4 weeks to get here. It takes so long. And depending on what for books is one of the things that they used to be one of the most popular things to actually recommend, because where does the book recommendation come from? Have you guys noticed that? I don't know if you guys used Amazon before. Have you guys used Amazon? I mean, I used Amazon when I was studying overseas, but when I came to Malaysia, Amazon never really flied for, because it takes so long to deliver and the price of delivery is so high, isn't it? Yeah, so if you're in a country where Amazon is stationed there, you can get free delivery and very fast. Then the thing that you can see from Amazon is that when you go to Amazon, the first page, the books part, is top sellers. And then down there is that there's the top sellers in a sort of like list kind of form. And then you click on one of them, you go into a page where they have the description of the book, and then at the bottom it tells you if you like this book, there's other books, you know. So you can actually be in this constant cycle of clicking on a new book, go to a new page, click on a new book. You can do that forever and ever. So book is the quintessential first from the recommendation kind of thing, but now people don't use it as much as streaming websites or YouTube. But just know that books recommendations is one of the biggest recommendations that has started the whole cycle. And so aside from item attribute, we can also build it by public's perception. For example, trending products. Trending products, do you guys still remember the time when there's fidget spinners happening? Do you guys own fidget spinners? Can you still find your fidget spinner? Somewhere at home. And these are considered trending products. Trending products in the sense that they may only be popular for a limited amount of time. For a limited amount of time, and also best-selling products. Now, best-selling products probably stay a bit longer for certain types, or sometimes especially best-selling books. Usually the best-selling books in the old days is the New York Times ranks, right? There's a New York Times trending books that every time, every week, I think they have a list of books that is at the top of the list that you can actually buy. That's recommended by the newspaper. So these are two types of content filtering: is the by item attributes, basically categories of this item, what kind of things that you can filter, and you can also sort them by public reception in terms of whether if it's best-selling or fidget spinners and so on. So these are different ways of using a content filter. And just now when we mentioned the movies and music and books, every one of these are domain-specific categories, right? Because screenwriters can only happen in movies, right? Screenwriters and producers are only available for movies. You can't really find screenwriters for books. I mean, you can write a screenwrite in terms of, have you guys seen what a screenwriter does? I mean, have you guys read those kind of people who have done the screenwriter? What do? They do write these conversations, right? It's like person A says this, person B says this, and then enter a dog or something, enter some kind of a person, and then the salesperson comes in or something like that. It's like the whole scenario written out to you on a paper, on stacks of paper, and then people who are going to act it out would have to see the scripts, right? So that is basically what the screenwriters does, is basically translating a storyline into a filmable script. So that's what they do. And you can see a lot of screenwriters, they actually try to change original books into screenwrites, right? They actually change them. Whichever books have been out there, have been adapted by a movie, have to go through the screenwriting process of translating the books into a actionable sort of movie kind of content. So everything that is written here is considered very much domain specific, meaning that for the domain of books, you will only get things called authors, right? So that's why when you deal with content filtering, it's a very domain specific type of recommendation. It is because attributes does not transcend item types. It doesn't really go over to another item type. For item type, for example, movies, you have specific types of attributes compared to other ones. For example, content-based recommendation from for movies, for example, if you like a certain movie, they will recommend you another movie, and they're usually a little bit more similar to one another because of its genres or futuristics. For example, this one, if you like 1980s action film starring Michael J. Fox, then you may want to try Back to the Future, and so on. So these are some of the things that you may want to use when dealing with content-based filtering or recommendations. So that is content filtering. Collaborative filtering, however, you'll see that, as I mentioned earlier, collaborate, it has to do with people. So a collaborative filtering is a social-based system. Social-based system means that things has to be utilized by people's actions or people's selections or people's choices. So it's recommend items based on preferences of similar users or users who have similar preferences. Oh my God, is that how I sound? Oh, it's so horrible. You know, there is a book, what is it, by a picture, it's called A Picture of Dorian Gray, right? And then if this person sees his own image in the mirror or in the picture, there's something horrible is happening. It's like, oh my God, hearing my own voice. Have you guys recorded any voicemail before? And then, or those kind of, you can record something when somebody calls you and you can say, hey, I'm not home. Please leave a message. I think some time ago there was that, and you have to listen it back. Oh, that's a traumatic experience. Listen to our own voices. They're not good to listen. I remember there was once I listened to a sort of a recording of myself and I felt, oh my God, I have such a squeaking voice. This is horrible. Yes, never listen to my own voice because that is how PTSD comes about. Okay, so where was I? Oh, traumatic experiences. Content filtering, no, collaborative filtering is a social-based system. It based on what preferences of people, similar users, or users who have similar preferences, meaning that people who buy certain things together, and those things that are bought together are going to be recommended for other people who bought similar things. So it doesn't mean that a person have to be similar to another person for the item-to-item based content collaborative filtering. It's similar how you recommend stuff to your friends. For example, if you want to watch a movie, sometimes you ask your friends, "Hey, I want to watch a movie. Is there anything you can recommend? Anything good to watch?" And your friend may say, "Oh, there's a new movie. This one came out. It looks interesting. Shall we check it out?" And that is one of the ways of getting recommendation. And in the old days, that's the only way to get recommendation is from people you know. And nowadays, this computerized way of doing recommendation is trying to imitate the way that your friends are actually recommending stuff to you, as if, when people recommend stuff to you, especially your friends, they know you, right? Reason why you ask your friends to recommend stuff to you is because they know you as a person. But if you are trying to get a computer to do that thing to you as well, then you have to sort of let the computer know who you are or what kind of preferences you like, right? So that comes down to the point where you have to either give permission for the computer or the app to collect your preferences. For example, your online browsing preferences, or that your personal preferences that you have already done a survey on. For example, you have surveyed something like clicking on surveys like, I prefer this one, I prefer that one. And then the computer will know, oh, this person likes this kind of stuff, that kind of stuff. So I can have something to build my recommendation based on what you have told the computer, or you have allowed the computer to take your history, your click histories. So they're acting as if they are your friends, but they're computers and they're trying to imitate. Nowadays, a lot of things that computer and robots are trying to imitate human behavior, right? So this is one of the things, is that the recommender system is trying to imitate your friend as your friend to give you a recommendation. And it's to query those people who share your interests. So if you go onto a website and that website say, do you want to register? You want to register? Then you register here. Just by the way, can you give us some can you give us some, takes on what you like? And then you put down your likes and preferences, and then they'll cross-check with other people's like and references, preferences, and they find people who are similar to your preference, and then look at stuff that they buy. And that is the basis of how they actually recommend stuff to you based on your preferences. And they'll know the movie you haven't seen, you'll probably like, and they'll be able to recommend some to the customers. This particular approach of collaborative filtering is not domain specific. This is to compare to what? To content filtering, right? Content filtering is domain specific. Yes. What is that one thing, like, for example, when you buy something, I'm just out of curiosity, for you to buy something, for example, let's say you go into a shop and buy clothes. Clothes is something very personal, right? When you buy a clothes, what is your number one concern? Like this has to be the case before you can even look at a clothes that you're gonna buy. I'm assuming that the clothes fits you lah. The fitting part is a given, obviously don't fit, obviously that would not make sense. What is it? Price, so price range, right? All price, brand. Oh, somebody have expensive taste. Okay, so so price wise, so for example, if you're trying to buy a pair of pants, pair of trousers, and you go into a shop, what is the range that you're okay with of the price? Between, I think, depends on where you buy it, right? If you buy it from outside bazaar, it's around 20, 30 ringgit or something, isn't it? If you buy it from shops here, you can't buy a pair of trousers less than 80 ringgit, right? Here is around between 80 maybe until 200, something like that, isn't it? And that is why I buy things on discount. But price is definitely one of the main deciding factors, because the affordability factor. So let's say if the price is something that is okay for you, let me see. If something that is okay for you, and what else would you consider? Would you be open to all that kind of styles? Or are you somebody who is a little bit more conservative and go for sort of a standard style? Because sometimes when we wear clothes, they do break down, right? They do break down, or they would been through quite a few washes, and they look old, and they either something don't work anymore or something broken. So you have to buy new stuff, right? So we probably don't buy as many stuff as before. I think after the MCO, people tend to buy less stuff, isn't it? I think we don't buy as much stuff, or do we buy online now? Online, everything online, huh? Yeah. I'm guilty of that. I buy stuff from Zalora. I don't go to shop anymore. They come and they send it to me. I try. I don't like. I send back. That's basically how I do. So price is number one concern. What is the number two concern? What would be after you figure out this is the price you can afford? What is the other thing that you have to have before you can consider, like, even look at that thing? Material. What kind of material are there for pants, huh? Satin for pants. Nice. Satin would be very smooth. design, color. Yeah, I think for me it's definitely color, because I mean, as much as I like different colors, but for pants, black or blue, right? For me lah, because it fits everything else ma. So color is definitely mine, and material is next. But the thing is, when I don't really recognize the material, right? For me, even if I see the labels, I wouldn't be able to link the materials. I think it has to be certain kind of a person who are very interested in the material that you actually go and really look at the labels for the material. For me, I just see if, because we can tell after a while when we buy clothes what kind of thing tend to last longer, right? You can tell certain things, this one very flimsy, I don't think it can last many washes. Sometimes when you put it in the wash once and then it come out of the wash, already no more. So that is something we definitely don't want. We don't want to pay like 40 ringgit, get a cheap things, and then only wear once, right? It does happen, it did happen. And then from that day onwards, I know not to buy cheap trousers. Some accidents may happen when you sit down and then you hear a sound. That would be even bad. That would be bad. Not that it happened. Yeah. So, or you actually, you squat down and then send sounds. I have seen it happen, but unfortunately, it's not me. It's a kid, so it's not too bad, because kids can allow to have these kind of misshapes. But anyhow, so in terms price and then color and possible quality, right? Quality and then material. So in this case, I think this is what happens when you are going into a shop, and then this is the general things that we actually run through. But sometimes in the general sense, for other things, for example, we also have our preferences, right? We can't just go in and get a sort of a clown trousers, even however cheap it is. It fits into the price category, but it does not fit in the subsequent selections. For in this case, your interest here would be, I'm interested, if I'm buying a pair of trousers, it would be within this price range, and it has to be this kind of color, and then from there I get to see a whole selection, right? Then you select from a whole selection, and then you pick one that may be sent to you, or maybe you pick one from the shops, and then you go into the changing room to try it out, right? So when you try them out, that's when you sort of get to feel the material and get to feel whether if it's going to last longer. Because if you're in the shops and you look at the trousers, you look at inside, right? You look at how the stitchings are, and whether if it's going to last a bit longer or not, that you can explore. So if you can distill that into the way that people actually look for preferences, for example, imagine this hypothetical company that you go in and they say, we sell trousers, we sell pants here. Can you give us some of your preferences? Obviously, one of the category ticks is price range, right? One of the thing is, if you are buying from a particular brand, the price range for trousers are very similar, isn't it? If you're buying for a company that, for example, Zalora, for example, or Proxons, or these kind of companies that has many brands, then it will make sense to actually have a price range. Or if you go to a company, a brand, not brand, a designer shop. Oh gosh, at the moment I walked into a designer shop once. It was a mistake. Started feeling a little bit out of place when they started offering you coffee out of free coffee out of nowhere. Why are you giving me free coffee? Need to get out. so different companies or different shops have a different category of price ranges. So when you go into and click on the preferences that you have, you're telling the recommendations system that anything beyond this category don't suggest to me, because I won't be interested. So that's how a collaborative filtering here would actually be very useful if you happen to give them your preferences. If you do not give any preferences, literally that collaborative filtering would not actually work, right? Just imagine this. You go in there blank slate, and people are trying to give you collaborative recommendations. It's not possible, right? You have not given it any preferences whatsoever. There's no way for them to give you any recommendations. So that comes to the part where you guys remember on Google search, on the right hand side here, they can only give you searches when they can access your preferences, right? Preferences as in previous search histories and stuff, that's a part of your preference, right? So in terms of collaborative filtering, I want to stress the fact that is collaborative filtering must have preference before giving recommendation. So that's why you have to query people with for you to share the interest. If you do not give people this interest, is very, very difficult to do, especially for remember collaborative filtering got two types, right? Item to item and then user to item. I'm talking about the item to item, as in people who have this kind of preferences also bought this kind of stuff as well. So that is from people who bought an item and then people who have liking to this kind of a item. And then obviously it's not domain specific. Domain specific is actually a really good thing, because if it's domain specific, you can just simply recommend things in that domain, right? You can just basically recommend stuff that is the top sellers, the best sellers, or the trending products. Those kind of stuff, nobody needs to give any preferences to be able to recommend those stuff. So that means collaborative filtering requires input. It requires people to give some kind of input to be able to give recommendations, which also makes it a little bit more complex compared to the content filtering. Right. Hybrid recommender systems. So hybrid recommender system combines both content and collaborative filtering, which makes this type of filtering very superior, because this is a very adaptable type of filtering system. Because think about it this way: if the user who are like us, or for like me specifically, I don't like giving people my preferences. It's almost like I'm giving you the option to recommend stuff to me that I may not buy. So sometimes I'm a little bit cagey when it comes to companies who are asking for registration, asking me for my preferences, because I know how it works. So if you want to keep your preferences to yourself, then you may not want to use the collaborative filtering. But even without collaborative filtering, everything okay? Oh, I see. Yeah, you guys, decide. Actually, that's no good. This one is blowing straight at you. Huh? Oh, you want to be cold. You don't want to be cold. Okay, okay. Give me a second out of the 2 rooms. Take 5. So you don't want it to blow at you, right? Yeah. So stop at that point. Do you feel cold still? No. 30 degrees. We're about to be very warm. Okay, so how about we wait until it gets too hot and you guys let me know, and then I'll probably put it at 27 or 26. I think 20, 26, and 27 is a good temperature, right? Yeah. If I was walking around teaching stuff, I'm gonna be so warm over here, and then occasionally I see people like shivering over there. I was thinking, I wish I was at your place. I'm here sweating, but now I'm sitting here, so it doesn't really work that way anymore, because I have to be next to the microphone. Let me know, let me know when you get when you're feeling okay. Then we just come down to 26 or 27. Anyhow, yeah. Okay, right. Where was I? Yes, the hybrid recommender system is one of the most flexible ones because if it's one of those ones that if the customer want to be a little bit more privacy conscious, and does not want to give any kind of preferences to this company so that they know you more and they can actually recommend stuff to you that you may actually like. Because sometimes if people keep on recommending stuff that I actually like, I feel a bit troubled as well because my pocket won't like it. I'm gonna have to buy stuff, and I see something, oh, this is nice, I want to buy it, but I cannot buy it. That will create a stressful situation. On the other hand, if we have people who are a little bit more generous with their preferences, then with this hybrid recommender system that also does collaborative filtering, can get the best of both worlds by having a bestseller or trending product recommended to you as well as a tailor-made, customized recommendation to you at the same time. So you're getting a lot more, not only just tailor-made to you, but also a generalized recommendations at the same time. So you have a bigger picture or a lot more things to see as recommendations. And by using the hybrid recommender system, you can do several things, but in different steps. You can, first one is to predict ratings using content filtering. Obviously, content filtering, the bestseller stuff tend to probably have higher rating, right? Higher rating in terms of satisfaction and quality, because obviously the bestsellers are tried and true, right? People buy it a lot because it's probably both cheap as well as a sort of a good quality product. That's why so many people buy it. And then predict ratings using collaborative filtering, because using collaborative filtering here, this rating right here is the rating of items based on people, not really ratings as in general ratings are. This ratings is basically ratings from the recommender system's point of view, what kind of stuff can be recommended to you. Higher the rating, the more likely that product should be recommended to you. And finally, average the two above from both content and collaborative filtering, and create a hybrid prediction. So this is basically like you get a list of stuff to recommend based on content filtering, and you get a second list of stuff that you based on collaborative filtering. And then obviously you cannot recommend both sides to the customer, otherwise the customer have too many things to look at. They may not end up looking at anything at all. So you average the above two and then get the top ranked stuff from both, and then you can actually recommend stuff to the customer from methods of both content and collaborative filtering. The best company that uses this technique is by Netflix, and some other companies that follow suit Netflix is from there. I don't know if you guys have heard about this, but when Netflix came out with this campaign or this challenge, you guys know that there's a lot of data science challenges out there, right? In Kaggle, there's a lot of Kaggle competitions, right? And in the old days, sometimes there are also like these kind of competitions, but they don't come around so often. Netflix made the news, as in it's so rare, it made the news when they came out with this $1 million challenge. Is it early 2000s, right? Early 2000s, they had this challenge saying, we're looking for a way to give recommendation to our customers in terms of movie. We will award the person or the company that actually can do the best recommendations for our company, 1 million US dollars as a reward. So by doing that, they actually found the best technique, and that's why when you go on to Netflix nowadays, your recommendations are quite good, right? I don't know if you guys are using Netflix at home or not. If you are using Netflix, then take a notice next time when you look at a movie, right? Or you look at your first homepage screen. Your first homepage screen, the stuff that they recommend to you, there's a lot of there you will find, oh, quite interesting, It's because they're doing a good job. If people give you recommendations or computer give you recommendations, and you all see I don't like, I don't like, I don't like, I don't like. For example, the YouTube one at the moment, there's a lot of them I don't like. The YouTube homepage, maybe because they're trending, they have trending objects as well, because I don't really like some of the trending stuff. They're just stupid. The way that some of the trending videos are, they're very silly stuff. And Netflix is one of the first companies that actually does the recommender systems well, and they made the news for doing this, and they're basically getting good advertisement and getting a good recommender system at the same time. It's pretty good, right? Now that we have talked about content filtering, collaborative filtering, and hybrid filtering systems, we're going to look at a little bit of individualized types of collaborative filtering and their examples. So item similarity in terms of collaborative filtering, it is called the item-to-item similarity. And then you have the user-to-item similarity. The difference between the two is the item-to-item similarity is for people who bought this also bought. It's based on what people have bought things together. User-based, am I hearing laughter? I can hear laughter through the doors. I guess this is the middle room, right? I knew it. so the user-based recommender system is what does people who are like you prefer in terms of items. So that's the basis of the collaborative filtering. And let's have a look at picture-wise. So here we're going to look at a example as in item-based collaborative filtering. After examining more of these ratings, pattern emerge. So very similarly, these are four movies actually. Two movies, Fletch and Stripes. These two movies I have personally not seen at all. And these two movies here gets very similar movie ratings. So you can see what we have here is two movies, and each of these movies given ratings possible from one rating of 1 lowest to a highest rating of 5, and then 1 rating until a 5 rating. So we have five people who have seen these two movies giving ratings for these two movies. And you'll see that for Alice, did Alice like these two movies? No, right? Alice hated these two movies, gave these two movies both 1 rating. And then what about Eddie? Eddie loved these two movies, right? Give both 5 kind of ratings for these two movies. And you can see all the people, or most of the people, this is only example. I'm sure if we use it in a real life, it would not be such a such a nice and beautiful output in terms of similarity. So Donna give these two movies a rating of 2. Chuck gives these two movies a 3. Bob gives these two movies a 4, and Eddie really loved it and gave it a 5. So what does it say about these two movies? What do you think it says about these two movies based on people's ratings? Are they similar or different movies? Similar, at least based on people's selections, right? So if we look at Twilight and Prom, these are probably chick flicks. And similarly, Eddie hated it and Alice loved it. Again, giving very similar ratings for both of these movies from all the users. So indicating that these people like or dislike these two movies equally, right? So that means based on people's ratings, it gives you an insight to see that these two movies, Fletch and Stripes, are fairly similar in terms of how people see it, whether they like it or hate it, right? So based on people's preferences, we can sort of conclude in a way to say that these two movies are very similar, as equally compared Twilight and Prom, these two movies are very similar. So this is based on ratings. Why are we using ratings here? Because when we go into shops and grocery stores, there's only two action, right? Either you buy the product or you don't, isn't it? But for a movie, people who can give ratings are all the people who have seen the movie, right? There is no such thing as you have never seen it. But if you never seen it, you would not know if you like it or not, right? So that means the way that movie goers can give recommendations is not quite such as if you have bought something or not. It's really about how much marks you give it, right? If you give you a good rating consistently for a type of genre, it goes to show that this person may like that type of movie a bit more, isn't it? So for movie, ratings are so important, and I don't know if you guys know that there is. I mean, do you guys have a user account for any of these movie review websites? No, am I the only one? So okay, so the reason why is because there was one fine day I was reading through IMDb, and then I was thinking, this one, why is this one getting such a high rating? I don't agree with this one. So I tried to go up there to rate myself, and they said you have to register. Oh man, is it worth it? Yes, I hate this movie. So 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 I'm gonna need to go in there. So I took the time to go and register just to make that rating. And then from that day onwards, I have been able to sort of rate movies as I like or not. And then after a while, you get to see sort of a list of movies that you like or don't like. So I'm guessing people in people who are working for IMDb must have databases of people liking or disliking movies, right? And that's why one of the things that we're going to be using as a hands-on today is movie rating kind of basically it's called a movie lengths database, that it consists of people's ratings for movies lah, and it gives recommendations based on people's rating for certain movies. And that's one of the things that we're going to be doing today. So item-based approach is very popularized by Amazon. You see, lots of these things are already around. I think Amazon started doing this movie rating thing in 1990s, right? In 1990s, and then it starts to become more popular and then adopted by many other companies as well. But reason why Amazon become a billion-dollar company, and Jeff Bezos is the richest person in the world, right? Because he owns Amazon. And Amazon started off being a book selling website, and they gradually move on to other things, isn't it? And then nowadays, Amazon is synonymous as buying stuff online in America. Not in other countries, but in America, if you want to buy anything online, you're probably approaching Amazon to buy, because they have this thing called Amazon Prime and Amazon Now, right? Their speed of delivery is crazy. I think is this assumption there's such thing called Amazon Now that actually delivers within 2 hours? It's like you buy something and that thing delivers to you within 2 hours. Amazon Prime is delivered within one day, right? Imagine that happening here. Nobody will be going out to buy groceries anymore. It will be like, I want to have a bottle of water, and then somebody brings a bottle of water to you in 2 hours. That'd be quite cool. Item-based collaborative filtering usually scales better than user-based. This is no wonder. As I mentioned earlier, user-based collaborative filtering looking for people who are like us in terms of demographic. But we all know that people who are like us, who are used to be our classmates at school, we don't like them, and sometimes we don't have the same preferences, right? So people who are like us as sort of like on paper may not actually have the same kind of preferences as we do. Instead, item-based collaborative filtering, as in people who bought certain things also bought something else, may have similarities to you than user-based. So that's why it says successful companies have more users than products, and having different users as individual users, it's harder to actually categorize because, I mean, if you have users, that means there's many different types, more types of users there are than items. And you imagine you have to create a database for each of the users and the stuff that they like. It's a lot of complexity, right? It's much easier if you have item. So for example, you're talking about maybe Emmerdale cheese or Emmerdale cheese, and people who bought this cheese also bought something else, maybe tomato sauce, these kind of stuff. That is much easier to categorize than it is to actually make sense of people in terms of who they are. Okay, I don't know if you guys have seen this one before in ADA. Have you guys seen this in ADA before? ADA class. Okay, SK SK also used this as one of the things to say. Have you guys seen this particular thing? Okay, the question is, so the thing is, there is a European country. I have to say the country is actually in European country. At a certain time between 6 and 9 p.m. every day, weekdays, these two things have been known to be bought together most. Can you tell me why? Weekday between 6 and 9 p.m. Why are these two things always bought together? Because you think, unless you have data analytics, you will not be able to spot what things are bought together, right? You probably just say, I see apples are usually bought together with some milk, and because sometimes you go to the same field, same area in a shopping mall, things are usually bought together more. But in this grocery store, Pampers, diapers, and beer are bought together a lot. Why is that happening? Can we just demystify this? Stressful? What, mommy is very stressful, is it? Close, but not quite. But if I tell you the story behind this, you'll be like, oh, okay, it makes sense. Because at first, when I saw these two things, I was thinking these two things have nothing to do with one another. Clearly, you cannot feed beer to babies, right? This is a crime. You cannot do that. What is happening here? Okay, the timing is very important. 6 to 9 p.m. on weekdays. After work. Very good, very good. Okay, after work, you go home. Who tells you to go to the grocery store? Yes. So if the wife tells you to go to the grocery store, you are the husband, right? So husband goes to the grocery store to get Pampers because the Pampers is running out, right? Because baby always use Pampers so much, and the mother is like, we don't have any more to go through tonight, so you have to go and buy Pampers. Oh, I just came back. I don't want to go. And then begrudgingly goes to the grocery store and then takes one of these. I was thinking, I'm gonna get some stuff I want. Yes, I'm gonna get some stuff I want. I'm gonna pamper myself to Pampers. and so he goes and grabs some beer and then goes to cashier I'm feeling good about myself now. This is like not a wasted trip for me because I can also get some stuff, right? So that's why these two things are bought together, because who goes to the grocery store after 6? Dad's, right? Because the mom is at home cooking, isn't it? The mom is at home cooking because if the dad can cook, then maybe mom will go and buy. But usually the one cooking at home is the mom, right? And besides, the mom will be at home maybe having to take care of the baby, isn't it? Maybe milk the baby, give clean or all these things. The mother will be at home, and the father is like, okay, I'd rather go out. So go out and buy what? Buy peppers and then buy beer. Obviously, this is actually a real case kind of a situation. It did happen, but it's very surprising because unless you do analytics, this will not come up, right? You will not be able to spot this thing, even though if you're the cashier, because cashier just basically scan, get money, isn't it? They don't really see this one as this one get bought by this one. They just see one item, two item, and then pay this much. So the only way that we can spot this kind of correlation is because people does machine learning, right? Analytics and machine learning. And it's very surprising as well. Things that we see as illogical things actually does get brought together so much. And how do actually people do to spot this? You can so people take a basket, go get stuff, take it to the cashier. Cashier will then scan everything, and then everything is in one list, right? One list is a transaction list, isn't it? And then give you the transaction list after you've paid. But in the background, they also record this transaction list from their system, right? So every time a list is considered one basket, and whatever get bought together, consider they have kind of association, right? So what happens is that each transaction, there are so many things that's been bought. Obviously, the number of item varies. Sometimes a basket maybe only two things, maybe only one thing, maybe more than 20 things. Depends on what you want to buy. But that's not the point. The point is when you have several things that's been bought in one transaction, those things may appear to be really irrelevant to you, as in not really, have any relations with one another. But from the company of the grocery store, those things are bought together, have some relations, right? Means that this customer likes to buy these things together. And you will find that the more you look at these transaction slips, the more pattern arise, right? Like for example, if you're from a European country and you buy pasta sauce, there's a high likely you're gonna have to buy uh, spaghetti or pasta, right? Because you're cooking the two things together. So these two things may be bought together. Or things like if you're buying some French fries, you may have to buy some ketchup. These kind of stuff are usually bought together, and that's how we can spot item to item collaborative filtering, right? That is how the item to item collaborative filtering happening. This is all the result of item to item collaborative filtering. Yeah. If mom go will be Pampers plus 10 unplanned purchase. Actually, that's probably true. Because at the end of the day, our will is weak, We go to the shops and we don't buy stuff that we need. We just go and buy, I feel like having this. I feel like having that. That is so true. 10 unplanned. I think it depends on how hard your day was, right? If your day is really hard, probably 10 products. If your day was sort of okay, maybe two, it's sort of highly correlated with how your day has been. That's quite funny. Muslim dad mostly probably buy Coke. Is it? Coke as in the sugar Coke? But the red Coke is all sugar. It's like empty calories. Yes. Yeah. But I can understand people who likes the red colored Coke cannot take the Diet Coke because the taste does not taste nice, right? For me, it's the opposite. Because the red colored Coke, I taste it after a while, it tastes a bit sour. So the black colored Coke actually tastes much more cleaner. It's just that apparently the sugar replacement is bad for our health, right? Supposedly it's supposed to be sort of cancer possible. So in any case, that is true. Muslim. That's why I said European country, ma. If I say like Malaysia, this will never work, right? Because the general public who goes like only Chinese will probably only buy it during Chinese New Year, right? Chinese New Year, this probably will be happening because then you can see grocery stores like have stacks and stacks of beer, and that's the only time people buy it. And McD. Hey, why do people like McD more than Burger King? Oh, There's a thing. I think McD is so much more popular than Burger King, isn't it? I don't know why. Is it because of the chicken? I don't know. There's a thing, right? I mean, Burger King and McD virtually similar kind of in terms of fast food and what they're selling. And also, why Coke and not Pepsi? Who still drinks Pepsi? No. Yeah, the thing is, they're the same kind of stuff, right? Supposedly, it's just advertisements. People are getting good at this. So don't drink. Okay, yes. Yes, Coke. I don't know. Did you guys see this YouTube video about this science thing that they take a bottle of Coke and then the not Coke the drink, not the Coke the powder. So the Coke the drink, you put it on the hob, you heat it up, Apparently, a bottle of Coke is equivalent to this much of sugar, white sugar. But when you drink it, it doesn't feel that way, right? It just feels normal. Just so happens maybe they add other flavoring so that they mask the sugar taste, but it's so much sugar, isn't it? Ah, that's probably why it makes you want to drink more of it. Yeah, because it has so much sugar. That is true. What do you think Malaysian families also use pampers or diapers, right? So, diapers. What do you guys usually buy along with diapers if you McD? Seriously? But if the wife is cooking at home and you buy McD, what does that mean? My wifey, I love your food, but I need to eat this first so that I can. 所以青草 Come on. Oh. Oh, one of my colleagues, I remember, one of my colleagues, he has his first kid, and Chinese, he has his first kid, and when the wife is pregnant and everything, he's all very happy, very I'm getting a kid, I'm gonna, and then as soon as the kid was born, you see him at work so much longer. It's like, why don't you go home? I've got some work to do. Yeah. Overtime. Yeah. And then my other friend is like, oh, I've been there before. Because when he goes home, he says when he goes home, he can hardly sleep at night too, because there's a time that the child starts to get used to not waking up so much at night. So basically, go home means a lot of work. So it does happen. McD definitely probably lah. If you're not going home in time for dinner, you'll be eating out, and having babies are not easy. Yeah. Pampers and beer. That's the thing. Only thing that you can spot if you're using analytics. Isn't that fascinating? Things that we get to see without with analytics are so much more than we can see just by our own eyes. So this is the kind of stuff that is really good example of having analytics in our lives, actually improving our lives, because not improving in terms of knowing everybody else is doing this. When you're buying these two things, so I'm not alone. I'm buying this one with that one. Everybody's doing it. But you're actually associating things that people normally don't see together, and you get to see things happening. So think about it this way. If you don't just look at grocery stores, you look at, for example, those people who actually does stock trending using time series. I'm talking about, like, people who are trying to predict when the stock goes up and down. And it doesn't work as much as people want to. That's why if it works so well, the big banks will be earning so much more money, right? There is still so much out there that you cannot predict. The reason why is because the things that actually involve to influence the stock going up and down is not just political things. Sometimes it has to do with weather, right? For example, commodities. For example, commodities such as not talking about sugar or chocolate or palm oil. These are considered commodities, right? Commodities are consumer products, and they're basic such as like rice or soya, these kind of stuff, the price of those things go up and down throughout the year. Sometimes when you have a really good yield supposed to be a good news, right? Really good yield means that you have a surplus of that product, which means that the price is going to go up or down? Down. Because too many supply, not enough demand, where does it go? Go down, right? And what about if sometimes like sugar, for example, certain things is heavily influenced by the weather. For example, nowadays they say cocoa is actually reducing over the years, that sometime in the future there's going to be extinction of amount of cocoa that's available in the future. So it's because the necessary temperature or the climate it needed to let this cocoa grow is actually getting worse because of global warming, because of all these pollutions and stuff. So the production of cocoa actually goes down. So immediately when that news came out, you can see the futures for commodity buying. There's such a thing called futures, means that you get to buy these are those speculations. So you are gonna say, you're gonna sort of come up with a deal with somebody in the future, basically say, I am going to buy 3 tons of cocoa in August 2021 at a price of this price. And then obviously when the time gets to that point and the price is extremely high, and then you already bought it like this year at this time at that lower price, you'll be earning money, right? Because immediately you can turn over and sort of sell it to whoever it is at that price. On the other hand, if you made a bad judgment, you buy at a higher price and everybody has it with a lower price, then you're going to have a loss, right? So that is basically what future does. So lots of people actually try to use analytics to actually do prediction of what these prices are. For example, have you guys heard of cryptocurrency? You guys know, right? So these bitcoins and cryptocurrency, people also try to use prediction, try to predict the price as a sort of a long-term kind of price goals, which will never work because there's a whole thing about okay, cryptocurrency is a bit harder to predict because there's so many whales as in big players who buys cryptocurrency, and they like to sell immediately when the price goes up, right? This is what they do. They dump and then the price goes right down. So it depends on who has more money. That's not the one that is people are focusing on in terms of prediction. In terms of prediction, people are still trying to predict stock. What kind of stuff do you think goes into prediction of stock? What is factors that actually influences prediction of stock? Can you guys tell? A lot, right? Can you name a few? Politics, very much, yes. You know how nowadays the supposedly American politics is actually going up and down, right? So a lot of the American company stock is actually going down as well, isn't it? Except the big wig companies such as Google, Facebook, Amazon is still quite high because those are the stables. There's other things as well. There's the political climate, and there is this sort of this ongoing trend of recession, right? This apparently, according to this economics things, is that there is such a thing as a sort of a trend of when is the next recession. It's time based. Things is about to happen within that time frame that is going to be something like a recession unless something drastic is happening to it. So you can have weather related influences. You can have, because weather relates commodity will then relate to a country's own income economy. So the economy overall goes down, everything else goes down, right? So that's why stock is very difficult to predict using analytics, because so many factors is influencing it. And how do you actually factor in people in terms of politics? How do you put numbers on Trump, right? How do you actually put numbers? Like, for example, Trump is being crazy this week, extra crazy. So I'm going to put a number of plus 10, 10, 10. And then you find out 2 weeks later, he's extra, 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 extra. Does it mean that you put in 20? I don't know. What is the number when you put into these kind of untangible stuff? Hard to put in, right? Yes. So we have to know that there are a limit of stuff that we can predict. But within the realm of things that we can, especially things is that you need to know what kind of attributes influencing what. For this example, we are going to say this is a very, very straightforward problem compared to stock prediction, because based on what people buy, you use those purchase histories. Yes, yes. Any questions? Any? Okay. I see movement. I see movement, and I feel like I'm losing out. The FOMO in me wants to walk over there. Okay, so yes, so in terms of this, you can tell that this recommender system can be done quite straightforward, because things or attributes that influences a recommendation is basically transactions, right? It's directly related. You don't need to know about the weather. You don't really need to know about the trend of a stock, because everything you need to know is within those transactions. So when you actually start doing certain kind of projects, it's very much important to be aware of the factors involved that influences that particular analytics. In this case, it's not a bad problem because our analytics is very straightforward, but there are certain things that you cannot do predictions on. Yeah, of course, there's a lot of things we cannot, like, for example, we cannot predict the time of death of future, or time that we're going to get a promotion. Can we? So maybe, okay, let's put it this way. If you get the company sort of like, if you get all these staff from the company, which is a really long-term company, and you get all of these these kind of promotion histories, how many years before somebody gets promoted a bit? So you can get a trend, right? You can get a trend of how often a person or a company has such a high rotation rate, which is not a good thing. People rotate because people come in and people go away, right? What is the average years of service for this company? It shows on how stable the company is, right? So if you're working for HR for a company, you have the data. There's so many things you can do with it, isn't it? You can actually analyze so many things just to predict your career path as well. I don't know if you can. It'd be useful. So now that we know this, we're going to introduce a thing called the AprioriAlgorithm. So the AprioriAlgorithm here is about people who bought this also bought. So this is a item-to-item collaborative filtering system. And with this in mind, we're going to do a bit of hands-on now. But before that, I'm going to talk to you about this AprioriAlgorithm. So how does it work? The AprioriAlgorithm is based on what people like and things are together. For example, in this case, we have 6 users. And these users, instead of putting the actual movie names, I'm just going to put down movie 1, 2, 3, 4 for easy of spotting them. So there are 4 movies, and user ID 1 likes 4 movies, and then number 2 likes 2 movies, and so on. And you can see, based on the preference of the movies, which movies are actually associated mostly with one another. Which 2 movies actually arise most often? 1 and 2. How many times does it happen? 1 time, 2 times, 3 times, 4, right? 5. 5, man? This is 3, right? 4, right? And then after this one, which one do you think is which one? So this is 4-time association, right? Which is the next up? 2, 4. Once, twice, okay. Also 2, 3, right? Once and twice. So this is basically how we actually rank these kind of associations. The top choice. So the recommendation would be, potential rules would be, movie 1 and 2 are the heavily related to one another. And then what is coming up next is 2 and 4, as well as 1 and 3, right? 1 and 3, yeah. Oh, 3 times, of course. 1 time, 2 times, 3 times. See, so these are the potential rules that these movies are related to one another because they have been liked mostly together with one another most of the times. So that is movie related. So I think so. Me, burger, French fries, salad, ketchup. This is a McD dinner, right? Yeah. But if it's Malaysia, instead of ketchup, there'll be chili sauce, right? Yes. So burger, French fries, salad, ketchup. This first person is definitely having a burger diet at the moment. And then number 2 is burger and French fries. Burger, French fries, and ketchup. Burger, French fries, and butter. Wow. Burger and French fries is not oily enough. We need to put more stuff to it. You have to have burger and butter. And then number 5, French fries and ketchup. Oh, probably buying snacks. This is a snacking kind of situation. And then number 6, this is probably a girl. I think this is a girl selection because burgers is guilty pleasure and then compensated with a salad to make you feel better. And then chocolate because not enough indulgence. so burger, salad, and chocolate is definitely here is a unique choice. So in all overall, we can see burgers and French fries is mostly seen together, right? So burgers and French fries are seen together the most, and then we have French fries and ketchup because there is French fries and ketchup, French fries and ketchup, French fries and ketchup 3 times, slightly less than the burgers and French fries combination. and then burgers and salad. Oh, because burgers and salad happened in the first one. So there's once and twice. Honestly, for me, I don't think I will be able to eat chocolate after burger. It just seems a bit too much. Besides, this one is savory, right? This one is savory, and then this one is sweet. Uh, uh, who am I to say what people like to eat or not? And everybody have their preferences. Exactly. Okay, so here we're going to start talking about a priori. So a priori is a thing that is to do with people who like something also like something else. All right. So let's say in a population of 20 people, so this is 20 people, 5, 5, 5, and 5, 20 people here. Just imagine this is the total population of a very, 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 very small country. And then within these 20 people who have seen the movie Iron Man is how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. 8 people who have seen Iron Man, which is probably not really realistic because, in my opinion, I think everybody has seen Iron Man. Yes, maybe more than once. Yes. So Iron Man has seen for this country have been seen by 8 people out of 20. So the support is what? 8 divided by 20. Okay, so here's the thing. When you talk about like item to item collaborative filtering, it's about when something is when more than one thing is brought together, right? It's like this thing is brought together with another thing, isn't it? So the support is only talking about the first thing. So the first thing is Iron Man. Now, when we move to the next part, confidence. So now we're going to move on to a part where it says people who have seen the movie Batman. So now Batman is the second movie, and the first movie is Iron Man. Second movie is Batman. So first movie got support of 8 out of 20, and then the second movie we have 8 people out of 20 who have seen Batman. But these 8 people, you can see by location, they're not the same person, right? So if we were to overlap these two, the previous one, these people in orange are the people who have seen Iron Man, and then these are orange are the people who have seen Batman. If we actually superimpose these two slides together and then see which person who has seen both movies, you can see what? Oh, there is these 4 people who have seen both movies, right? And the thing is, now that this is both 4 people who have seen both movies uh, are here in the red frame, and then confidence is people who have seen both movies divided by people who have seen movie A, which is Batman. So previously movie B is Iron Man, movie A is the second movie, and then within the second movie, how many people we have seen both movies is basically 4 out of 8. So people who have seen both movies divided by people who have seen Batman. That is confidence. All right. Okay, Al. This part could be yes. I think that has to let's for argument's sake, this one is seen the entire thing until after the credits. Even finish the credit. I know what you're saying, because the thing is, if we only see half and then we abandon it, means that we don't like it, right? It's like same thing as if we for YouTube video. You know how? Do you know how YouTube video are sort of paying their content creators money? Is that they only consider people who have seen that YouTube video more than a certain length as seen that video. People who just browsing through, right, is not considered as a viewer, has not been considered as a viewer. That's a good point, actually. I don't really know. But I think if I were YouTube, right? If I were YouTube, I think consistently watching that one would be the part, because YouTube would like to pay less to the content creator, right? So if a person does not stick with that video long enough, I can sort of say you did not watch the whole thing, right? So yes, I think that's probably is. Yeah. So in terms of people who gives money from YouTube, probably wouldn't really consider a YouTube video being scroll within 5 seconds as considered as fully watched, right? Because if that's the case, then we can fully watch our own content a few times, and then we can actually generate income, right? Yeah. I'm sure they've thought about that. YouTube is now Google. Google is not messing around. Exactly. I know what you're trying to say. Like, for example, in Netflix, right? Netflix actually consider things like if you just seen that TV show for like a couple of minutes, as in sort of didn't like it, because when you skipped away, right? It will only consider as being seen if you see almost to the end. Almost like, obviously, they don't really consider credits as nobody watches the credits, right? I mean, unless there's a post-credit scene. I know. The thing is, sometimes it's really confusing, especially the Marvel one. Sometimes they don't really always contain post-credit scenes, right? So every time I go, I mean, towards the end, I don't know if other people does it. I'll just sit there and thinking, is there or don't there? Take out my phone, post-credit scene, this movie. Oh, no credits, no post-credit scene, leave. And then I still see people sitting there. I was thinking, these people have no idea. Walked out. So So yes, duration of a movie for this particular question in question is that this person has seen it completely. Because that's the ultimate way to see if you like it, all right? If you don't like it, you would have gone to something else. In this day and age, our attention span is so short. If we stick with a movie, that means it must have been good. Actually, even with its good movie like streaming, I still scroll through the boring bits. Because when somebody's talking about some narratives and, a part of me seeing, like, in the old days when I see a movie, then they sort of pan out to see the scenery of a place. I will watch it and be like, oh, so cool. Now I see a scenery, oh, skippable. Skippable to the next section. Ah, yes. Because I don't have enough time. I have to finish these things and then move on to something else, which is more interesting. Okay, so confidence is people who have seen both movies divided by the second movie. People who have seen the second movie. I think in the future I may have to change this up into a different number because at the moment there is 8 and 8, right? Let's see. Okay, give me a second. I think what I can do to make this easier. Second. Confidence. Oh, that will make it. E. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8. People who have seen both movies, confidence for support. Okay. Right. All right, let's save this. All right, I have modified slightly, and now oh, sorry, just to make it better. Yes, this is better. All right, so after modification, it's now, okay, this is support. Support is the same. Support, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 7, 8, right? Did I take away that? Man, put it here. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, right? Nine up. Okay, that should work. Oh, it's because I have to. I forgot. See, it takes a lot of pretty group things. Okay. Oh no, what have I done? So, okay, let's put it this way. Instead of that, here is we have how many? 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we have 8 here, right? 8 here as in support. So support is 8 out of 20. And then confidence is people who have seen both movies and people who have seen movie A. So movie A is Batman, right? Batman here, instead of 8, I have changed it to 9. So 9 people who have seen Batman. Within these 9 people, got 4 people who have also seen Iron Man. So this number 4 here is people who have seen both movies, and 9 is the number of people who have seen Batman, right? So it's 4 divided by 9, which is 44.444444, which I think I should actually change the number, but it's okay. It's only problematic for Chinese audiences, because 4 is not very auspicious. And then within this lift is confidence divided by support. So confidence is 44, right? And then support is 40. So the lift is 1.1. So that is basically, so what exactly does this entail? This basically just means that, so what is confidence, by the way? Confidence is how many people who have seen both movies divided by people who have seen the second movie, right? And this means that the confidence shows people who have seen the second movie, and also people within that people who have seen the second movie, how many of them have seen the first movie, right? Right? First movie, support. First movie, we have 8 people who have seen it. And then second movie got 9 people who have seen it. But then within nine people of the second movie, about 4 of them have also seen Iron Man. Now, why is this confidence really, really important? Is because, say for example, later on the lift is equal to confidence divided by support, right? So the confidence, the only way for you to get a high lift, the lift itself shows the association between the two objects, right? Between the two movies. The higher the lift, the better the two actually are associated with one another. Now here's the reason why. The way that we can get a high lift is either you have high confidence or you have a low support, right? Because fraction, the numerator has to be high in order for the result to be high also, right? So what is confidence here? Confidence is how many people who have seen both movies amongst people who have seen the second movie, right? So in this case, for example, for the second movie, Batman, there's only 1 person who have seen Iron Man. Does it mean what? It means that people who have seen the second movie don't really like the first movie, right? Have not seen the first movie very much. So that means the way to have high confidence is to have, for the second movie, almost everybody who have seen the second movie have already seen the first movie, right? So that gives you a high confidence. Now here's a problem, is that if everybody who have seen Batman have seen Iron Man, one of the possibility is that these two have high association. Another possibility is just that everybody have seen Iron Man. Everybody have seen Iron Man. So that's why the second movie, whoever watched the second movie has also seen Iron Man, right? It's because such a large number support. So that's why for lift here, another way to have a high lift is to have low support. Now what was support again, huh? Support is how many people who have seen the first movie amongst the all population, right? Support at the maximum, the support here, the maximum would be everybody who would have seen Iron Man, right? So that means you will not get a high lift if you have a high support. It shows that if you have a high support, it means that the first movie is so general. Anybody else who has seen any movie would have seen this movie, right? It does not mean these two movies are correlated together. It just means that the first movie is so popular, right? But what we're tasked here is to find association between two movies, right? So these two movies have to be uniquely seen and not so generally popular so that everybody buys it. So everybody have seen it. So that's why for lift, the lift shows you how much two things are usually bought together, seen together, used together. The higher the lift, the more association the two has. To have a high association means that you either have, for the second movie, whoever watches the second movie have seen the first movie, you would have confidence. Yes, that is true. But at the same time, you also have to have a low enough support, right? Because if your support is really high, this ratio here is not going to give you a high lift, isn't it? This ratio is going to give you a low lift because your support is so high. So that means if support is very high, indicating the first movie is so general, everybody have seen that movie, right? That means there is no actual unique correlation between these two movies. If this movie was seen by everyone in the world, it doesn't mean, sort of like, for example, a movie, Iron Man, which is actually true, has been seen by almost everybody in the world, right? And let me have a movie that is not being seen by many people. That is one of the top movies. But true, I think, yeah. How many people have not seen Shawshank Redemption? How many people don't even know what this movie is? Oh, okay, never mind. I was wrong. You were right. Okay, so Shawshank Redemption is one of the top 100 movies in the world. It has a sort of a very, very strong scene when this innocent man who has been locked up escapes prison and walks out from the sewage pipes and happens to be in the rain, and then all smelling poopy. and that's a famous scene. And then so let's say Iron Man and Shawshank Redemption. This Iron Man has been seen by everybody, and then it has a high support, it has a high support with your Shawshank Redemption. It does not mean that these two movies have higher correlation with one and high relations with one another. It just so happens that Iron Man has been seen by everyone, right? So what we were looking for is a association between the two movies that is uniquely, combined, uniquely seen by particular individuals because they are just of the same type of movie, right? So that's why you either have to have high confidence or you should have low support. Low support meaning that these two movies that you're actually trying to associate with one another are not a very generalized thing that people buy at the store. What is the most, so grocery stores, what is the most bought item in a grocery store? What do you think it could be? Huh? Sugar? Tissue. Toilet paper. Yes. Remember when MCO just happened and somehow somebody says toilet paper is gonna be shortage? I mean, in Malaysia it will never be shortage. There's still water, right? There's still water. Why do you? Anyhow, you go into a store and then the section for toilet paper gone. Only those really expensive ones still there because nobody buys expensive toilet paper, right? So yeah, that's the thing. If everybody buys toilet paper with something else, does it mean that toilet paper and that thing is heavily related with one another? No, right? Because everybody buys toilet paper. That's the thing about lift. Lift requires you to have low confidence and or at the same time low support. So to get this, all right. So that is one of the things. Here we have another example of this. We can leave it to the afternoon because when you come back, I'm sure you guys would have had some food and would have forgotten some stuff from the morning. And I'm gonna have to reiterate this one, and you guys will have a refresher. So at the moment, it's almost 12:30. It's lunchtime. It's it's lunchtime. So let's come back here at 2 o'clock, and we'll continue with the afternoon session. Okay. All right, have good lunch. I never knew Shawshank Redemption was such a rare movie. Have you ever been to a situation where you have seen all the movies around you and then thinking, I don't know what to watch next? And then next thing I know is IMDb, look for top 100. Just go through the list. No shame. Yes, sometimes they're so dry, right? Sometimes my heart is not prepared for this kind of movie. Yeah.